Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Armchair Booking Podcast. I'm your host. My name is Stunning Steve Barber, and joining me as my co-host, as always, is Delicious Dwaylen Davis.
Hey, everybody.
And as you can tell, well, I'm not in my office. I am sitting in a hotel room in Louisville. I had to come down here for work, and I wanted to go watch an OVW show tonight because they always have their shows on Thursday nights,
Mhm.
except for this week, apparently. this
The
this
week
week,
you're going to be up there. Yeah.
yes. Um, this week, they had their show on Tuesday night, and when I saw they had it scheduled for Tuesday night, I actually emailed them. I was like, "Hey, I'm going to be in Louisville, and I'd like to go see an OVW show, but looks like you're on Tuesday night, or you're also having a show on Thursday night." And they said, "Unfortunately, no. Um, that is their last show this year." And it was actually a special show. That's why they had it on
Uh,
Tuesday for some reason, but it's their last show period this
right.
year.
Oh, wow.
And I had talked, you know, my boss into us coming down on Thursday so I could spend Thursday night so I could go to this show.
Right.
And then they up and big fat change the day on me. I'm
Yeah.
like, but that also means though now we get to record. So
Right. Yep.
so you know what,
Yeah.
turn a negative into a positive. It's always fun
Yep.
when we record. So
Anybody watching on video, as you can see, the Grinch is on my TV. My daughter's been watching TV in here today, and she loves the Grinch. So that's why you see the Grinch on the TV behind me.
and if anybody knows Dwaylen, they also know around Christmas time, well, he is the Grinch. I gotta say it, dude. I
Yeah.
mean, yeah.
I,
I
I'm a
just
lot
got
better this year than I usually am. I'm actually in the Christmas spirit this year. I usually am not, but
okay.
I still love the Grinch though. So
Uh,
best
you know,
Christmas story ever told until he gave the gifts back.
yeah. And they say, his heart grew, his heart grew 10 times the size that day. And then they said, yeah, you better go see a doctor.
Yeah.
That's a bad condition to have.
Yeah, that's like yeah, an enlarged heart is not a that's not a good thing.
Right.
Need to take care of that.
And in case anybody's watching on video, I don't know if you can see this, Dwaylen. Yeah, you are kind of like moving in slow motion. Uh, Dwaylen is experiencing some storms right now, so you will have to bear with us, but we are making it work because that's what we
Yeah.
do.
Yeah. My internet's been kind of choppy. Yesterday it went out for a while and then it was kind of in and out after it came up. So it's been well off. So yeah, just bear with me. Hopefully it'll work itself out.
But on tonight's show, we're going to discuss something that just came up in the news yesterday, and we both feel, you know
Hmm.
what, we need to talk about this. And what kind of kicked it off, what spurred it off, was Mandy Rose has been fired from WWE
Yep.
because of some pictures that have shown up on her fans own. What the crap is the name of it?
Well, and the thing is, it had to be a subscriber who leaked the pictures
That's
because
very true.
everything's behind the paywall. Everything's behind a paywall. So the only people with access besides Mandy is the people that are paying for the content. So it had to be a subscriber that leaked it.
Fan Time. That's the name of it. I
Yeah.
didn't.
Yeah.
I had never heard of it. I knew about OnlyFans, but I did not know about Fan Time. And we knew about OnlyFans because of what was it? Zelina
Yeah.
Vega. That's the one she
Yeah.
was on, wasn't it?
Yep.
But she was also
When
on
they
Twitch.
when Well, she was on Twitch, and then when they shut down everybody being able to use Twitch without WWE's involvement, then she went to OnlyFans, and then they shut that down too. And I just feel like it's just a mess. I mean, I'll get into my reasonings why I don't agree with Mandy getting released, but we'll discuss it in a bit.
Yep. And that's why we're going to call this one, How Much Control Should Wrestling Companies Have Over Their Performers?
Hmm.
So, but before we get started, I want to go ahead and give our contact and listening info. If you want to email the show, it's armchairbookingpodcast@gmail.com. If you want to find us on Facebook, it's facebook.com/armchairbookingpodcast. You can find us on Instagram at Armchair Booking. You can find us on Twitter at Booking Armchair. You can find us on TikTok at Armchair Booking. You can find us on YouTube for video and on audio platforms. You can find us on just about any audio platform there is. If we're not there, let us know. We would try to get ourselves added, like what I've been doing. I was trying to do yesterday with Pandora.
Mhm. Yep.
I don't know if it actually
I
successfully
still haven't been able
worked.
to, I searched for it earlier, but I still haven't been able to find this yet.
Oh, and the sad thing is, you will find a podcast named Armchair Bookers.
I came across several episodes of their podcast, but
Yep.
Armchair Booking Wrestling Podcast is not pulling up.
And they have not released an episode in 2 years.
Really?
And yeah. And I will say, if it ever comes up, their podcast may be older than this one.
Mhm.
However, I had this name picked out probably 2 years before they started.
Right.
Yeah, it was just a
Yeah,
matter
because
of,
you told me about it when you first had the idea of doing the podcast. You told me what the name was.
you remember, and think about this, that was like 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so and so the podcast has been around for about 2.5 years now,
Hmm.
and through different styles. We had Kyle as the original co-host,
Hmm.
and he was able to help it keep it going. And then he had to step away, and you were able to come in, and so we've been able to still keep it going.
Right.
And Kyle has been back on the show, and he's been a big supporter, and we're very grateful for that. So
Hmm.
once again, Kyle, thank you for that. And he still
Yes.
gives us
Thank you.
ideas, and he is just a very, very busy man. If you
Yeah,
ever
yeah,
see
he
his
is.
if you ever see his schedule, he'd be like, okay, I thought I had a lot going on, but yeah, so you'll see Armchair Bookers. That's not us.
No.
And
Nope.
so this title was the one I came up with, and we talked about it, and it was just a matter of, okay, now how do we start?
Mhm.
So we finally figured out what equipment we needed, software, hardware wasn't that hard. Um, the software was a little trickier, and then finding a platform, and then changing platforms later on. But as far as
Yeah.
audio goes, I mean, we're hosted by Spreaker. They do the uploading on almost every audio site. I did have to manually add it to Stitcher, which, by the way, Pandora and Stitcher are actually connected. So we're on
Oh, okay.
Stitcher.
Okay.
Yeah, we're on Stitcher, but we're not on Pandora. And
Yeah,
uh,
it doesn't make a lot of sense.
yeah, in Pandora, you had to go through this other site to get it uploaded. But that's when I found out, hey, it also goes to Stitcher. I'm like, well, we're already on Stitcher. And
Right.
this one also uploads to Sirius XM,
Oh, okay.
which I'm
Okay.
like, yeah, because Sirius owns Pandora.
Yeah. It's like,
So
oh, okay.
yeah, so it's kind of amazing with me being in Louisville, because
Hmm.
Louisville is the headquarters of the Yum network for you know um
Hmm.
the Yum subsidiary, which has KFC, Pizza Hut, Taco Bell, and there's another
Hmm.
one I had never heard of. I'll have to look at it because I'm pretty sure somebody will say, "Oh, I know they're at that place." Um, but a lot of the podcasting networks are also becoming like that, because
Mm.
Spreaker is owned by iHeart.
Oh, okay.
So um, so there for a little bit before we moved to Spreaker, we our shows had stopped popping up. It was not updating on iHeartRadio, and a lot of people were having that
Hmm.
issue. And I was throwing some shade towards iHeart's way until we got on Spreaker. Now I'm like, sorry about that.
It's like, my bad.
My bad. um, and let me see. Look at the Yum network, and but anyway, I'll keep on talking while I'm talking about that. By the way, Spotify actually owns Anchor, because that's another one a lot of people love is Anchor. But
Hmm.
all those audio platforms, I mean, I've found us on some that I had never heard of, but people use it. So I'm like,
Right.
I'm not going to try to take it down.
Hmm.
As long as we, get people listening to us, as long as we're getting the credit, hey, I'm cool.
Exactly.
Yep.
Yep.
You can also find Dwaylen on Twitter at fat_daddy73 because he is Fat Daddy. And then his wife Hope is Big Mama, and they also have their own YouTube and TikTok channels where they post, some other content, videos and such. And you can go back from a video from like 2 years ago now, but it's Dwaylen eating a potato chip that is apparently made of lava.
It's the hottest thing I've ever eaten in my life.
Yeah.
I
And
lasted longer than Savannah though. Savannah lasted about 10 seconds and she's like, no, I can't
really,
do it. Yeah.
and
She
would
she and and she only had like a tiny little piece of it. Like I had most of the chip and was like, but it was, dude, it was killer. It was like, no.
yeah. But was she talking smack beforehand though?
Oh, we both were. We're like, oh,
Oh,
we got
yeah.
this. It'll be all right. And then it was not all right.
But it was not all right. Not all right at
No,
all.
not at all.
uh, but you can find my other podcast, the Cubicle Chat. Just look up Cubicle Chat on the same audio platforms. There is no video platform from that one yet. Uh, and we're still thinking about it. Last night we actually recorded a show, inspirational movies or movies that were inspirational to us.
Hmm.
A lot of surprises. I will say that because in one of the, I even told Mikey, and we actually had a guest who was someone else who we were stationed in England with.
Okay.
Now a dozen years ago, but this was actually her idea to do the inspirational movies.
Oh, okay.
So but I said I didn't really have like any movie that was like inspiration from beginning to end. I said, but I did have. I said I'll like certain parts of movies that it kind of sticks with you. And I said in a movie that y'all have probably not, maybe not have heard of, and probably definitely have not watched because they neither one of them are like sports movies, but the movie
Hmm.
Celtic Pride.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
I remember that one.
yeah. I mean, and it's goofy.
Yeah.
You have Damon Wayans playing, like the biggest star in NBA. So we already know it's not realistic.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, um,
Exactly.
but um, Dan Aykroyd and Daniel Stern, they kidnap him, to try to help the Celtics win a championship. And it was the part where he
Yeah.
laid into them and he said, "You guys are pathetic." He said, "You build your life around other people's accomplishments because they had like the man cave with like Celtics, Patriots, the
Mm,
Sox and the Bruins and all
yeah.
that." And he said, "There's nothing in here about you." He said, "It's all about everybody else."
Right.
He said, and I was like, that always kind of stuck with me. It's like,
Hmm.
yeah, that's why I mean, as much as what I love my Tar Heels, I love my Raiders. You're not going to see me hanging their championship banners up because
Right. Right.
you know and that's their accomplishment. They were awesome about it, and I'm glad because it's the team I support.
Hmm.
But it's still, I mean, I'd
Excuse
rather
me.
have my own stuff. Which, ironically enough, the trophies that I do have, I don't display them either. But yeah, any kind of award I got, I'm like, all right, cool. Except for one. And when I was in Korea, I won Technician of the Year. And the reason I have that one displayed is just because it's really cool looking. It's a bell. I'll
Hmm.
have to, when I'm back home, I'll have to show it to you. I mean, it's just a really cool looking bell,
Okay.
so, but anyway, back to the contact and listening info because we also have merch, which does not include bells. And at tpublic.com/user/armchair-booking-podcast. I don't think there's any more.
I don't
Yeah,
think
I think that's
so.
it.
Yeah.
And yeah, the Facebook page. I don't know if you saw the thing that I posted.
I did. Yeah.
Yeah, this is really kind of a warning for anyone out there. If you have a business page on Facebook and you get some kind of weird thing saying you violated our standards, you must click on this to try to reactivate your page. Don't do it.
Do not do it. Yeah.
Yeah, anytime you have something asking for your username and password,
Uh-huh.
be very wary. In fact, don't do it. Verify who they are. and this whoever this is, they actually have a page set up. So I clicked on
Hmm.
it, and you can see how many times they posted, and they're tagging all these businesses.
Hmm.
Because there was a
Yep.
couple other ones that I recognized, and I was like, "Oh yeah, this is definitely a scam." And that's when I said, "Yeah, not today, hackers." And then a friend of mine, he commented, "Not today, ISIS." So, so oh, oh yeah, the Yum brands are KFC, Pizza Hut, Taco Bell, and the Habit Burger Grill. I've
Never heard of that.
never heard of that one. Long John Silver's and A&W restaurants used to be under them,
Oh, okay.
so um, I like Long John Silver's, even though I know I'm kind of in the minority on that one, but I like Long John Silver's.
No, it's pretty good. We have a Long John's A1 place here. A1, A&W. Uh A1. But we have one of those places here. We eat there, on a regular basis.
Oh
It's
yeah, I
good food.
love Long John Silver's. My rest of my family hate it, and so that's one of them things I can only get like if I like leave work after half a day for some reason,
Yeah,
and I have to
go
go.
get it for lunch.
Yeah, I'll drive because the closest one to us is in Eastgate, which is still 15-20 miles away.
Right.
So um, so I'll go through the drive-through on the way home, and then my wife will get them. Oh my God, it stinks in here. Smells like fish. they, they absolutely because part of it's because of the grease because Long John
Yeah,
Silver's is very greasy,
yeah.
but that's what gives it the flavor. So that's why I like
Exactly.
it.
Exactly.
Uh,
That's why we eat it. It's good.
yes. So you sent me the text yesterday. Anytime you send me a good Twitter thing, I'm like, okay, this is gonna be good. So I click on it and Mandy Rose has been released from the WWE because of pictures on True Fans or Fans Only or whatever the crap I said it
Yeah.
was a while ago.
Was it fan page or
I might have to
something like that?
I
It's
might have
kind
to
of
get back
like
and look again.
yeah, it's kind of like OnlyFans. It's everything's behind a paywall. You have to
Fan time,
subscribe to it. Fan time, that's
fan
it.
time. There we go.
But everything's behind a paywall. You have to subscribe to it. So it's not just out there for the world to see. I mean, these people are having to pay for the content. They're having to pay in order to see the content. So WWE got wind that some photos had been leaked or, either photos or videos or whatever of Mandy Rose. And they said that it violated some company, some of their company policies. I was telling my wife, I said, but the creator of your company spent $20 million in hush money for accusations of sexual harassment.
Yep.
But you're going to fire Mandy Rose, and Vince McMahon was allowed to retire rather than be fired, and is still the majority shareholder in the company with the most voting power. So,
And I don't get that, but that's
I,
we'll hit that here in a second too.
yeah, but Mandy gets fired. One, she drops her title on Tuesday. Uh, she was the NXT Women's Champion for 414 days, one of the longest reigns. I think third longest reign in the history of that particular championship.
Okay,
It
I was
was
thinking I was thinking second. I knew Oscar had to have
it
a
was
beat.
Oscar, Shayna Baszler, and then
Okay, I didn't think about Shayna. I
uh,
knew there was missing one.
Mandy. She had completely turned her career around going to NXT. She was doing some of the best work, like character work, in ring work, all of it.
They use the women better in NXT.
Exactly. But because, I was telling Steve before the show started, it had to be a subscriber that leaked this content because besides Mandy, they're the ones with access because they pay to see it. But there have been other people in the company that have had risque pictures or videos or whatever um, come out,
Take your pills.
and I mean, it's just my thing telling me my sugar's a little high, which I knew it would be.
Oh, I was right. Take
I
your
ate a
pills.
yeah, I ate a big supper, so I knew it'd be a little high. So, but anyway, like I still think that it is kind of misogynistic to fire her for doing what you were doing with her on your telegram every week. I mean, from the time she walked in the door, she has been a sex symbol. They've booked her. They've, molded her to be a sex symbol on WWE television. So when she does that on her own without any company involvement, then it's like, oh, well, that goes against our policy. I told my wife, I said, no, WWE wasn't getting their cut. And it's kind of like the Twitch thing all over again. It's like, oh, well, we don't want you doing ventures on your own unless we get a cut of it. And I feel like that's what a lot of this has to do. I mean, Mandy Rose has some risque pictures that there's nothing illegal with what she was doing. She was running a site. Fans pay to view the content on the site. Matt Riddle has failed 2 drug tests in the last few months, and they send him to rehab. You know, he's got sent to rehab for 6 weeks.
Okay, which drugs did
So
he test
you can
positive for?
drug test. I don't know because they don't marijuana anymore.
About to say, yeah, because I mean, and they don't,
So
you
it
don't see
wasn't
somebody going to rehab for weed.
no, but they don't test for. They stopped testing for marijuana a while ago. So whatever he was doing was a lot harder than marijuana.
Hmm.
So he failed 2 drug tests, and that's why they wrote him off on Raw when they had Solo attack him. He got written off TV so he
I
could go to rehab.
I actually was not aware of that.
I found that out either yesterday or the day before. I
Okay.
meant to send it to you and I forgot. But I mean, he didn't get fired. Guys like Randy Orton didn't get fired. Randy's failed two,
I think
two
Randy's got
wellness
like,
has
yeah, at least two.
Randy's probably failed 4 or 5 wellness policies. They're just saying 2 because Randy's golden at this point, so they're not going to fire him. But I just think it's a double standard that she has a business outside of WWE, and because somebody decided to leak some of the content, she gets fired. It just doesn't make any sense to me.
It makes me kind of wonder. I mean, I think somebody didn't like her possibly, and this was, you know,
This
how
was
it is.
the
This was
reason that they needed.
yes, because I mean, um, and I'm not gonna say witch hunt because a witch hunt, you're actually going and looking for stuff.
Hmm.
I think
Yeah,
this was a keep an eye on her as soon as something happens.
yeah. As soon as
You
something
know,
happens, we can get rid of her, which is dumb because all they're doing is giving, even though they don't think they have any competition, they do have competition, and Tony Khan would be smart to pick her up because, like I said,
yes,
she is completely rented her. She is a extremely good performer now. Like, you know, when she went back to NXT, it's like a switch was turned on, and it's like she turned heel and that was the thing. It's like turning heel was the thing that helped her because she started out as a heel, then she was a baby face for quite a while, and that wasn't going anywhere. She goes back to NXT, turns heel, forms Toxic Attraction, and everything they did was good. And she'll land on her feet whether she decides to stay in wrestling or decides to go to another company. Um, she'll land on her feet because she's really improved, and I think she'll be okay. Speaking of going to other companies, Sasha Banks is going to be at Wrestle Kingdom in January, which is New Japan's. That's New Japan's
mm,
WrestleMania,
okay,
basically. That's their biggest show. That's their biggest show of the year because, like, their count for wrestling, their calendar year kind of ends and begins with Wrestle Kingdom. It kind of
okay,
it's like WrestleMania, and it wraps up
right,
old storylines but creates new ones going forward.
okay.
And Sasha Banks is supposed to be there, and there's still rumors going around that she may be coming to AEW.
And even though every week I'm seeing Sasha done with WWE, it's got to the point I don't even click on the links anymore because it's been every single week.
Well, they said the problem is it's money
Yeah,
because
always.
she knows her worth, and they can't come to terms on money because she's like, here's what I'm worth and here's what I'm willing to take for that worth. And they don't want to pay her what she wants. And she can do other things, so she doesn't have, it's one of those WWE needs her more than she needs WWE
Yeah, and
because
I mean, and if people are always wondering, okay, when we say knowing your worth when you're in the wrestling business, will fans pay to see you, whether it's to see you
exactly
win or to see you lose? They will
right.
are willing to pay to see you, and yes, people are very willing to pay to see Sasha. She is probably one of the hottest commodities in wrestling. Period.
Yeah. I mean, when she was in WWE, honestly, I felt like she was the best female performer in the entire company. And I honestly feel like if you take the entire package into consideration, skills, Mike's, in ring, Mike skills, charisma, just the it factor, Sasha Banks is the greatest women's wrestler WWE has ever had. And to let her walk out the door is just stupid. They're literally leaving money on the table because she is a huge star and she built herself into a huge star. I'm not saying WWE didn't give her the opportunity to be seen because they did, but she's the one that's done the work, you
Hmm.
know, to become this big star. So it's just dumb not for the company to find some kind of middle ground to keep her signed when there's other companies that will snap her up quick.
Yep. And I can't recall any scandals outside of WWE.
Mm-mm.
Not
Me either.
because Naomi, unfortunately, because Naomi and Sasha walked out at the same time, and I like
Hmm.
Naomi.
Yeah.
I think Naomi, she's a hell of a performer.
Oh,
However,
yeah.
Naomi, she's had some run-ins, DUIs, and things like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
So that will hurt your stock, especially in a
Hmm.
company that travels internationally, which means she may not be able to go. She can't even go to Canada. She
Yeah.
and the Usos,
Yeah.
and her husband, they
Nope.
can't go to Canada.
Nope.
And here's something
Because
wild. Once you have a DUI, you're done.
that's it. Yeah.
And Canada are not the only ones. I mean, there's other countries in Europe. My travel
Hmm.
agent wife told me this also about Canada because she was booking some clients, and if they have a layover in Canada, they cannot, they can't even have a layover in Canada if they've had a DUI.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I mean that's how serious they are about it.
Yeah.
And this is Canada, which is known for some pretty good beer. But
Yeah.
I haven't drank in 9.5 years, but I do remember Canadian beer was really good. But I mean, they take that pretty seriously.
Yeah.
And but Sasha's not had any kind of scandals.
No.
And once again, we could kind of come back to the control thing. Sasha did have outside ventures, but it was acting because she is a character now within the Star Wars universe.
Yeah.
I can't remember the character's name off the top of my head,
Um,
but
I can't either right now, but she was on the Mandalorian,
yeah.
several episodes, and it's like she's already branching out,
Hmm.
and she's you know she's a natural anyway. So I just don't see. I mean, they're just letting an incredible talent slip through their
Hmm.
fingers. I mean, this company is making money hand over fist, and they're going to balk because they might have to pay a little more out of pocket to wrestler services when they're going to end up making in the long run more than what they would end up paying her, even the price that she wants. They're going to end up in the long run through merchandising, TV deals, all that stuff. They're going to end up making some.
Casca Reeves, that was her name.
Okay,
Yep.
but yeah, it's just crazy.
Yeah.
I don't get it. I don't get, and you see, like, the title of the show, how, should um, wrestling companies, how much control should they have over a performer? WWE is the only one that doesn't adhere to the independent contractor title that these performers have. Every other company that you see, New Japan is New Japan's kind of in the middle. They do let some of their talent go to other companies, but it's not as widespread as other companies like AEW. Their wrestlers wrestle for other companies, win championships in other
Hmm.
companies. I mean, they um, Impact Wrestling is the same way. GCW, pretty much any other company except WWE. WWE will not allow their wrestlers to wrestle anywhere else, even though they're an independent contractor, which means you should be able to come and go as you please and work anywhere that you want. So I've never understood how you can still consider them to be independent contractors, but then sign them to an ironclad contract that locks them into your company.
Then they are not, and they will label them independent contractors because that way they don't have to pay insurance. They don't have to
Yeah,
pay,
they don't have to pay any benefits.
right,
Yeah,
and they also don't pay the taxes.
right. It's
You
a
know,
worker. Yeah, it's just a workaround to save the company money, but it's taking it. I feel like it's taking advantage of the men and women that have helped build your company.
hmm and in this case, it once again comes down to okay, and I am going to play a little bit of devil's advocate because I'm going to say, okay, what do the contracts look like? If their
Right.
contracts, yeah, if their contract says, okay, while you are under this
Mm-hmm.
contract for the next however time, 3 years, 4 years, whatever, here are the things you will not do because it can bring discredit to the company.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but if they don't spell that out, you know,
Exactly.
then they can't stop them. Because even
Right.
Kyle, he texted me about it and he says, wonder how, yeah, he said NXT women's champ to unemployed all in a matter of a day. Wonder how
Yeah.
a company can dictate what an independent contractor does in their private time. Company promotes Mandy Rose, not Amanda Socamano, which is her actual name.
Exactly.
And
Exactly. Which is
yeah,
the name that she's using on her page.
hmm
She's not using Mandy Rose, which is trademarked by WWE.
right. Which,
So
funny enough, her name is actually Amanda Rose Sacamano.
yeah,
Yeah. So
yeah.
that's,
So I
mm,
mean, it's literally her name. I mean, for all intents and purposes, it's like she's using her real name, running her own business page. I don't see the issue. And some people were on Twitter and they were saying, well, a suspension would have been good enough. No, there was no need for a suspension. She didn't do anything wrong. The company just didn't like what got leaked. It's not her fault that somebody leaked the content.
and if she did something, like I said, if she did sign a contract saying
Hmm.
you can't do it, then
Yeah.
she has
If
every right to do it. As long as she's not
Yeah.
using, like you said, she's not using
Yeah.
Mandy Rose, she's
No.
using her real name.
Right.
And somebody had to have leaked it, so somebody's a snitch, first of all. You know,
Exactly.
now I'm not gonna say honestly, I'm not gonna say they leaked it to WWE. They leaked it somewhere and it got back to WWE.
Yeah. It got back to WWE. Yeah. They just leaked it somewhere on the internet and WWE ended up getting wind of it
Right,
and just automatically just fired her. And it's like,
right. Now if they do come out and say we had spoken with her about this before and we had warned her and she kept
hmm
doing it, that's when you got to say, all right, let's get some lawyers involved because did she
hmm
sign an agreement saying she wasn't going to do it?
yeah.
Um,
From, from what I've read, she was blindsided. She did not see this coming because even though they changed, she was supposed to defend the NXT Women's Championship against Roxanne Perez at their next special, like New Year's Evil, right around the first of the year. Well, they moved that match to Tuesday. Everybody figured that because Roxanne Perez beat Mandy Rose for the Women's Championship. Everybody figured, well, this rematch at New Year's Evil, and then the next day she gets fired, and she said that she did not see this coming, and she said she's still in disbelief that it's happened, and it's like, so they knew beforehand. I feel like they knew beforehand. That's why they moved the championship match so that they could get the belt
Yeah.
off of
Oh, they
her.
did. They did, and that's kind
And
of come out too that Shawn
they
Michaels,
absolutely knew.
Shawn Michaels,
Hmm.
which is kind of funny. Um, Shawn Michaels found out about it. Of course, he is the one running NXT,
Uh-huh.
and he immediately said, "We need to get the belt off of her now, tonight,
Uh-huh.
because we need to address this situation." Okay, I get it. You don't want your champion running around doing booby pictures on fan time.
Mm, but
However,
but Shawn Michaels posed for Playgirl
it
with
was,
the WWE Championship.
yeah, I mean, now granted, it was 25, 30 years ago. However, he still posed for
He still
Playgirl.
posed nude. Yeah, he still posed nude in Playgirl, but literally had the company's world championship in the photo shoot.
Yes.
So,
Which leads me to believe
hmm
they endorsed it. They had to have, because
hmm
he's still,
yeah,
you
he's
know, it,
still involved with the company. So, but it's like it's things like that that I find very hypocritical. It's like when something like this comes out with a man, it's it's kind of swept under the rug, and you know Seth Rollins had an issue. Some inappropriate pictures of him got released. I think his ex-girlfriend released some
yeah.
nude pictures of him and stuff. Seth didn't get fired, and things like that. And I think it all boils down to Mandy was probably making more money
She was
on
making money.
her
There's
on
the
her
difference.
page.
She was
Yeah,
making money. They didn't like that.
exactly. She was probably making more money with this venture than she was with her NXT contract. And they saw that she didn't need them to make a living and took exception, because it's like, how dare her do something on her own and not give us our cut, even though we don't deserve anything. So,
And they can't say that they made her a star, because if you look at her actual history outside of
hmm
wrestling, um, she's won like bodybuilding fitness competitions
oh yeah,
for
yeah,
WWE. She has
hmm
a bachelor's degree in speech pathology, which is actually
hmm
something which is a marketable degree.
yeah,
It's not underwater basket weaving. It's something that
right,
it
exactly.
is, so she has other career options.
Well, she
So
also she also owns another business with Sonia Deville. It's like they do like custom donuts and stuff like that. It's kind of
yeah,
like a
there you
pastry
go.
type thing. Her and Sonia Deville, have own their own company to do that, and it's like
Which is
she's
kind
a
of funny, because they're both fitness fitness freaks,
yeah,
but they want the
yeah,
pastry thing. Uh,
yeah, but it's like she's a success without you. So you're just you're just upset because you didn't have any control over her outside ventures.
and um, I think what it comes down to, and you hit it right on the head, she was making money off of it. Why'd they stop
Hmm.
Zelina Vega? She was making
Hmm.
money off
She
of it.
was making money. That's
They
why they
went,
stopped the
yeah,
vid. Like everybody that was doing Twitch and was doing video game stuff, they stopped it because these people were making money, and they were making decent money at that. And WWE didn't like that because they were like, "Oh, well, let me get a piece of that pie. Like we need more money." I mean, like they needed people's Twitch money or people's OnlyFans money or
but
whatever. It's like,
I'll actually throw three names at you though who did worse. I mean, if you really want to, they actually did. They went above just a few risque pictures on
hmm
this, and they not only did they not get fired, they were encouraged because WWE was collecting their cut already. Sable, Tori Wilson, China.
absolutely. Hmm.
Yep,
Yep.
because the
Yep.
WWE
So
they got a
it's
cut of
like
that money from Hugh Hefner.
Ashley Massaro,
Yep, there you go.
um, Maria Kanellis,
Yep.
trying to think who else posed. I think that was it. But yeah, all of them WWE heavily promoted when they were in their Playboy phase, and it's like so it's okay for these women to be portrayed as a sex object if you're
If you're
benefiting from it.
benefiting from it, if you're getting your money.
Right. But if they're the only ones benefiting from it outside of the company, then all of a sudden they're the villain and they have to be fired. Just makes it's just very hypocritical. Because like you said, they were already making their money with that huge money with that Playboy deal.
Hmm.
And it brought loss to the company and things on that coverage and all the things that WWE loves. But you can't have an outside venture doing the same thing without them, you know, taking your title and firing you.
Give you another example where one thing did not get the person fired, and it shouldn't have. Um, Paige, she had a video of her
Yeah.
that was leaked.
Hmm.
Very unfortunate because I mean it was a private video,
Yeah. It was a private video
just
that
like
somebody,
the Seth Rollins pictures were also
exactly.
they were
Yeah.
private.
Yeah.
Um, and not only was she on that video, but Xavier Woods was part
Yep.
of the video.
Yep. Xavier Woods was part of the video. Brad Maddox.
Okay, I knew there was other ones. Xavier is the
Yeah.
first
Those.
one I remember just
Yeah.
because of the when in kind of a sidebar when the New Day and the Usos had their
The battle
back,
rap. Yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
and it
Yeah.
was brought up, and I was like,
Yeah,
oh,
when he was like, just don't go all rated R like your boy Xavier Woods, and it was like,
yeah,
ooh,
like ooh, um, it wasn't that the WWE didn't have an issue with the video. Paige didn't release it. Xavier didn't
mm-hmm,
release it. Neither did anybody, all the other guys,
yeah,
which make me go, wow, Paige. Um,
yeah,
but she didn't want that release. She wasn't trying to make money off of it.
yeah,
Um, Xavier, I mean, of course, now he wasn't making any money off of it either, and it didn't do him any favors. You
right,
know, he has is it Twitch that he
yes,
has his up, down, down,
mm-hmm,
left, right.
yep,
Was
mm-hmm,
up, down, left, right, AB start. Is that the Nintendo code for like
yeah,
every video game?
it's the Konami code, yeah,
Yep. But he has because Xavier Woods is a big time gamer, and he
mm-hmm,
has that page. Well, the WWE came after that because he was
yeah,
making money
mm-hmm.
without them being involved.
Well, if you notice now that show is on the network, just
Yep.
like Steve Austin's podcast
Hmm.
and Bruce Pritchard's original podcast and things like that. It's like they they see you being able to work without them. Excuse me. They see you being able to work without them, so they're like, "Oh no, we got to pull this into our orbit. That way we can control it and benefit from it."
And there was something because I was talking with this today, you know, here in Louisville, and I was talking with some of my coworkers here because my our whole team came to Louisville.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yep. And but I mentioned that to them because somebody had posted on the comment on the link that you sent to me, you know, something about oh God forbid. I'll have to go look at the comment. Um, but it said something about working more hours for the other company or something.
Mm-hmm.
And so that led to a conversation because I remember, um, oh, crazy how working a second job without disclosing it to your primary job will get you fired.
Right.
So that led into a discussion we have. And so I actually asked my boss, you know, because he's in there too. And I was like, with our company, I said, because I said, what is exactly, I said, will working a second job get you fired? And he said, if you are working a second job that you are working 40 hours a week at, because you're also working 40 hours a week here. He said, that's where they will get you. He said, because you cannot devote the kind of time that you need to this job if you're also working 40 hours at another job.
Mhm.
And he
Okay.
said, and
I
so,
mean,
yeah,
I can see
yeah.
that.
Yeah, he said, now a part-time job, he said, he said, you're pumping gas at a gas station, they're not going to care. He said, you have a catering business. I mean, because I knew people who did, they have catering businesses.
Hmm.
He said, as long as you're not doing above like a certain number of hours where it's going to, they don't care. And and I've always been open about the podcast, and they
Hmm.
know. I mean, they know. I mean, we've talked about it. We're monetized,
Yeah.
and but they also, and they've actually been really cool. But there's been times, even like tonight, they're like, "Hey, you want to hang out?" And I said, "No, I'm going to record." And they're like, "Okay." I mean, then so the only times where it's been like, "We need you here," was during certain times of the year.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the last one time was the worst time, and everybody we're still talking about that. We're like, this better not get like this again, because that was beyond horrible. Um, but we didn't record for almost 3 weeks because of that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I mean, and the same thing, if your job did the same thing,
Hmm.
it'd be
Yep.
like, you know what, we just won't be able to because you had work stuff, because that
Yeah.
pays the bills, takes priority. But that's not,
Exactly.
we're not well, I say we're not entertainers. I don't know how podcasting falls into that realm.
Yeah. I'm not
Um,
sure.
and this is not our primary gig either. This is not
Yes.
what pays the bills.
Right.
Now, believe me, folks, not by a long shot. We still got a long way to go.
Oh, yeah.
But you can always help us with that if you go to Apple Podcasts and you give us a 5-star rating. And if you give us a review with a 5-star rating, we will read it on the air. But let me check, because yes, we did read one last week. It
Hmm.
was actually from
Yes, we did.
Kyle, the Maryland Wolverine, Kyle. And let me see if there's any more, because I checked it earlier. I didn't see any new ones. And no, there's no new ones, even though we do know there's some coming. But if you go to Spotify, if you go to Spotify, give us a 5-star review or give us a 5-star rating. You cannot do a review, but if you send me the review or send Jwalen the review, we
Hmm.
will still read it on the air. As long as it's 5 stars.
Yep.
You give us like 3 stars.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you give us 3 stars. Yeah, you can forget that. You give us 3 stars. Um,
Yeah.
but um, but anyway, so I get, because I've been in leadership positions, not in civilian jobs, but in the military, where you do have to watch your image, because as long as you are with a certain organizations, the military being one of them, and obviously entertainment companies, sports organizations also being,
Hmm.
with WWE as a combination, sports entertainment.
Yeah.
Um, with being in the military, though, it is actually specifically spelled out for us.
Right.
The
Right. Yeah.
things,
It's not
yeah,
vague. There's no loopholes or anything. They tell you exactly what is allowed and isn't allowed.
right. And a lot of times it will specifically say in uniform, or while you are representing, your branch, or you're representing the U.S. military, because there was a case in 2007. There was a woman down. She was actually a reservist, but she was down at Lackland Air Force Base. She was a training instructor, as what the Army calls a drill sergeant.
Hmm.
She posed in Playboy, which would not have been, it would have been weird. Like, she's a TI, and I just saw her in that issue, that
Hmm.
I just saw.
Yeah.
It looks like that woman there, she had pictures of herself in uniform where she was saying,
Oh. Oh. Yep.
yes.
Yep. She messed up. Yep.
Oh, she messed up big time.
Oh yeah.
And, had she not had those pictures of herself in uniform, like wearing like the TI hat and everything,
Oh
uh,
wow.
yeah, she may not have gotten in trouble.
I mean, did she
But
not think that someone wasn't going to tell it when they saw her in uniform?
yeah, and And I actually talked to some former TIs that I had met after that issue came out. And one guy, he actually told me, he said, yes, I did support her cause by buying the issue, but he said that he said she was not even a good TI anyway.
Oh,
He
okay.
said so that also didn't help the fact that
Yeah.
she was already, kind of skating on thin ice. Then she goes and
Yeah.
does that,
Yeah. She had one foot on a banana peel out the door, and she
and
kind of just
yeah,
shoved herself on out with that.
yep. So and so I can kind of compare it to that somewhat because she's representing an organization which um, wants to kind of keep a certain image,
Hmm.
kind of a straight lace image. And yeah, I said the military trying to keep a straight lace image. Yep, that was me. But WWE, same thing. They're trying to keep an image. I get it, but at the same time, you have to spell it out.
Yeah. There can't be any assumptions. It can't be, the language can't be vague to where one party interprets it one way, another party interprets it the other. Because if the company interprets it one way, that's the way they're
Yep.
going to see it. And it doesn't matter how the other party interprets it. So the language needs to be clear and precise, and needs to just state you can't have an OnlyFans, or you can't have this type of page, or you can't do Twitch or whatever, but it needs to be defined in writing in the contract that they are signing. Not, oh, well, we have some hidden policies that of things we don't like. We, you just can't do that. Expect people to know exactly what they can and can't do.
Right. And because even to the point of, okay, you have social media accounts,
Hmm.
and while you are under our employ, you cannot make disparaging remarks about the company.
Right.
You have to spell that out. You
Yeah.
know, um, now if they don't say
You
it,
can't
and
just assume somebody knows that. You have to spell it out. That way there's
right,
no confusion.
um, and on the flip side of that, the people doing it can't just assume, oh, they'll be okay with me doing this. Well, no, you just disparage the company you're working with, so you're going to have a little
Yeah.
talking to at the very least.
Yeah.
And if it's bad enough, you may end up finding yourself fired because you did something that, kind of bad that
Hmm.
you cost the company you work for business, which is actually kind of stupid on your part. But
Right. Right.
and people do it. I mean, not just wrestling companies. How many times do we see people on social media, Facebook, Twitter, whatever? I mean, and they just say, but basically, I work for this company and this company sucks, or and they'll
Yeah.
actually.
Yeah.
It's like,
Actually, you see it all the time on Twitter, and it's like, do you really think that's smart? Is that how do you really?
you broke up for a second.
Okay. I said, I said it's just not smart to put that kind of thing on social media. It's like, you really think that's how you're going to keep your job, by dogging your company for the entire world to see?
Right. You know, um, just like if you and I were to go on social media and say, I'm married, but I hate my wife because I think my wife is
Right.
this, you start calling her names. You probably won't be married very long afterwards.
Oh no.
No. And
Oh no. I'd still be married, because my wife is wouldn't give me the satisfaction of kicking me out. I'm going to pay for that for the rest of my life.
that's one of the cases where you better hope she falls asleep first every night.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, um, but the original question is how much control should they have? And I'm going, well, how much control should any company have over their employees? I mean, they're going to have some. I mean, you'd have to, but you can't have that absolute
Yeah, I'm not
iron
sure I have
fist.
control, but yeah. especially not when you're labeling people as independent contractors to get around having to pay and taxes.
Yeah. And which also goes back to an episode we had a few months ago. Is it time for wrestlers to form a union? Because that came up
Yeah.
with Zelina Vega because she said,
Mm-hmm.
how come I'm not being allowed to use my own name for something that's outside of WWE? And
Yeah.
um but you can always find the show in our archives and whatever audio platform that you use to listen to us. And because we spelled it out then, and it's kind of come back to that now. And I don't
Mm-hmm.
see, I don't see the other companies having these kind of issues, you know. But
No, they don't. It's only WWE that you see handling news with these type of issues. You don't see AEW about fire them because they were doing something over, and we weren't not as like as long as you do your job, we signed you.
we just lost Waylon. I am going to pause this. Now, for our next magical trick, the reappearance of Waylon.
Yeah, yeah. Sorry, guys. It just dropped me. I'm gonna have to give them a call tomorrow and see. On it should have been arms, but it still shouldn't just be dropping.
So we are going to go ahead and wrap up. Before we go, we do want to give, because we didn't give our users shout outs. You got to give a shout out to Ted. You got to give a shout out, if you don't know what I'm talking about, Ted the Hillbilly Hill. Go listen to him, the Hill Truth. He'll drop some.
Mm-hmm.
He will drop some wisdom on you. He's about to do a meet and greet down in Antarctica. During Lame Duck Week between Christmas and New Year's. You don't want to miss that. So if you can get down to Antarctica, I will tell you, not the easiest thing to do. But Ted, he's got connections. He's got connections, but he's going to be in Antarctica. Award-winning, critically acclaimed. His podcast, and he really is the true podfather of wrestling. I want to give a shout out
Oh
to
yeah.
Wrestling with the Truth, to BC and Jay. They had us on their show, and I mean, I consider them our friends now because that was such a great time. And we need to try to get all our schedules aligned to have them
Yeah.
on our show. I give a shout out to the Dad World Order.
Right.
Some more great guys who I've met in person, and I like their show. When I'm able to catch it live, it's even better. But if you can't catch it live, just go on YouTube and you can find it because they're pretty much YouTube only right now. But I mean, they great job, great content, and they're all dads. And so that's another thing that appeals to us because I mean we take great pride in the fact that we're dads. Go check out TNC Sports Talk. He's kind of on hiatus, but you can always check out his back. I'm going to say back episodes, but yeah, his archives as well. You can check out the Wrestling Society podcast, which is one that we've been in talks with, trying to work out something there. And they've been hitting us up about some other kind of wrestling things, which I never would have thought about. And I'm like, oh wow,
yeah, me either.
That's some, I'll let that kind of come to fruition. But I'm like, that's some really cool stuff that they have going on.
Yeah.
Yeah. As far as non-wrestling, I'm going to give shout out to True Crime Cast and Bless Their Hearts, both the same guys. Both great podcasts. And what am I missing here? I'm missing something.
Trying to think. I'm not sure. I don't know.
I'll figure it out when I'm trying to go to sleep tonight. That's how it always works.
Yeah, it'll come to you then. Yeah.
Yep. So, but until we can record next week, we don't know what our schedules are going to look like over the next few weeks because we know the end of next week. Well, Christmas is on a Sunday, but so next week I think we should be recording, and don't know about what yet because just hopefully things will settle down so we can kind of get this ahead of time because every time we try to get ahead and then stuff happens and all of a sudden we're like, Well, we were going to record that episode this week. However, because it was coinciding with something else happening, but then we weren't able to
Mm-hmm.
record, and it doesn't make sense to
Yeah.
record it now. Well, dang it.
Right.
So we missed
Yeah.
opportunities.
Yeah.
And it's nobody's fault. I mean, it just couldn't record, can't record.
Yeah.
Family gets sick, they get sick.
Yep.
When work happens, when you're working, 200 hours in 3 weeks, it kind of happens.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Um, but we think we always try to come through, and we always have a good time doing it.
Yep.
And hopefully this is an episode that really makes people kind of think about how the wrestlers, how much control should any company have in their employees, especially some that are in the public eye. Because
Mm-hmm.
I think this is going to bring some other stuff to light again. This is not the first time, but
Yeah. Yeah.
but until we could talk again, hopefully on Monday we'll be recording. We'll tell
All
everybody good
right.
night and God bless.
God bless.